What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another no longer TA Tuesday, but just a TA with Tordess. I think we'll start calling it now. Needs to be uploaded Thursday or Friday. We're recording them on Monday. We decided to switch to a pre-recorded format to better suit people's schedules. It's been crazy between multiple different guys getting on here. We've all got full-time jobs and. Life gets hectic. So this is a little easier to make sure that we could get this done consistently every week for you guys. And so thank you once again to my co-hosts here. We've got Dut, the founder of Tordess, and Roche, our TA master, who's been walking us through this journey since, I think, back, what was it, November when we got started?
Yep.
Yeah, it has been 4-5 months. And since we switched to pre-records formats, I hope that we can do this more regularly so that Roche and Nathan can share a lot more valuable lessons that we have learned so far with the audience we have here.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, guys, thanks for your time and for helping out, educating the Crypto Paradise community, for offering all the great rewards that you guys have. Speaking of, a little housekeeping before we get started here. If you participated in the Tordess airdrop, $25,000 airdrop through the Crypto Paradise mini app, you've only got a couple days left. I think the form deadline is Saturday. So if you had submitted some entries into the Tordess airdrop, you need to go and fill that form out so that we can record your entries and verify that you've completed all the eligibility requirements in order for us to include you in that airdrop. So if you participated in that, great job. The airdrop itself, the airdrop competition, I guess we'll call it, phase has ended. You need to fill out that form. That form has been sent out to everybody via DM with the mini app. So check that in Telegram. If you don't see it there, you can also find it in the Crypto Paradise Telegram group chat under the mini app topic. It's a pinned post in there. Has a list of all the eligibility requirements as well as a link to the form. Make sure you get that filled out by Saturday. That's the deadline. After that, you will be ineligible to get that airdrop there. So quick bit of housekeeping there before we dive into our topic today. And today's topic is very timely and relevant, something that everybody should be aware of if you're not already. Today we're going to be talking about trading based on events that are happening. And these are events that can happen. These can be crypto focused, but more importantly, most of these are going to be big macroeconomic events around the world. We've seen exactly how impactful that can be on the charts just in the last couple of weeks here. Events are things like, for example, the White House crypto summit that they had last week, right? The signing of the crypto strategic reserve, right? Those kind of big news events that can pump and dump markets. There's a whole host of other events, things that are very common, things like CPI, etc. Roche is going to walk us through those today here, how you can use them to your advantage, how you can use them to protect yourself, to trade with, and some tools that you can use to help you out to know when those are and how they may impact your trading. So let's go ahead. We're going to switch over here so you can see Roche's screen. He's sharing with us here. Roche, again, thanks, man, for being our guide on this journey as we're trying to improve our skills so we can put them to work on the Tordess platform. Let's dive into. Let's get started here.
Yes, so welcome. Apologies, I don't feel too well, so I might not be able to chat away today, but I'll do my best.
Well, you ran.
So yes,
after running half a marathon through the cold, snowy mountains last weekend, I wouldn't feel too great either. So we won't hold it against you.
Yeah, but you look great today.
Well, yeah, thanks, man. I try. My hair's getting longer. It's good. So yeah. So economic calendar, it's extremely vital. And before we start, it's not financial advice, but I think if anyone plans their trading around the economic calendar, you either trade the news or you don't. And it should be part of your main strategy, right?
Well, if nothing else, it's something you should be aware of because it's going to impact charts. Even if you're not going to trade them, maybe it prevents you from making a trade that you normally would have made because there's a major economic event that's going to put uncertainty in the market. So, whether or not you're going to use this as a strategy yourself, it's something that you at least need to be aware about to help protect yourself in the event, of an upcoming event that you maybe are unaware of. So starting, you're on investing.com. For all of these dates here?
Yes, you guys. So So for anyone who want to do it, you go to investing.com and then you click on. I'll do it from the start. Let me go one back here to show everyone exactly. So you go to investing.com, right? It's you go to economic calendar over here. It should be there, right? Click on that. Now, the most important thing about the economic calendar is two things. Number one is the countries that you follow. There are only three that matter, no offense. Well, let's say four. Okay, so USA is most important. Second would be the UK. Third would be China. And fourth would be the Euro market. Those are your only four markets that matter. Even though we have impact levels that are low, medium, and high, you take those four countries, you take one impact level only, and that impact level would be the high impact level. Luckily for them, they have these filters over here. So you can just click on them. Here's all the countries, right? So you can say clear all, and then you can go and look. You click on Eurozone, right? If you create an account, it stays like that. So that's a good thing. If you create the
It's
account.
a
So
free
we
to
go
create account on there.
USA. Yes, it's free to create an account. You can do it with your Google account. Yeah, it's really, really good. And then we go China. Okay, so there we have our countries. And then this importance is very important. You click on the one that has free. You just click apply, and suddenly you will see that there's actually almost nothing today. Well, there's nothing today. Tomorrow we have the job opening. That's at 10. Okay, so the time here would probably be American. Yeah, it's GMT4. So let's change that to +7, where we currently living. So that will be tomorrow night at 9. And then if you click on this week, you can see that there are quite a bit of news coming out this week, right? So
Guys,
that's how you know exactly how to time your trades. Yeah, you want me to zoom in a bit? I can. There we
there
go.
we go. Perfect.
That should do it. So so if you have these, right? So what I actually do is every last Sunday of the month, I would go through investing.com and place them all on my calendar. And every morning when I wake up, if I open up my phone, I can kind of see what's coming up today. Right. So that's later on, but in the beginning, anyone can go around here and play with this, right? And then you have your actual, which will only show once the news actually came out. You will have the forecast, and then you will have the previous one. So tomorrow night, the market should recover quite well because there's more jobs, right? And we know that under Trump, there's more jobs have been created, regardless of all the other stuff, right? We don't care about politics. We're here to make money. Okay, that's it. It's a fact. So tomorrow night the market should recover nicely, maybe up maybe 89K, 90K, right? But then we have to look at Wednesday. It's Wednesday, it's a CPI, right? It's a year on year, the month on month. It's the month of February. You have the crude oil. And then Thursday is the PPI. So, yeah, there's only
So
one from
Roche,
the UK. That's yes,
one question I do have here. Like you mentioned that there are four markets that would impact the most: U.S.,
yes.
European, Japan, and what's the other one? What's
Now,
the fourth one?
China,
China.
EU,
Yeah.
UK, and US. Yeah.
Okay. So among all these indicators, which are the one you think that are the most critical one, the one that you would probably at the end of the month or early of the month, you will probably check those and add those into your calendars. Like which of these figures that would
What do
be
from
most
which
important?
countries? From which
Like, let's say
countries or
from
which
let's say from the US.
news?
What events in the
No, from the
countries are
US.
most impactful?
Yeah, I don't. I always go on the impact. So I treat them all the same, even though there are specifications. But because of the impact that they have, right? Because of the economic upturn or downturn that they bring, I stick to those. If the impact level is free, I don't trade them, regardless of what other people say.
And that's just because those
But
days are typically
sorry.
too volatile, and we don't know what the numbers are going to be. Could come in hot, could come in low, and it's just typically around those days we see a lot of shorts and longs getting liquidated.
So there would be four like that. So yes, I agree with you. But there would be four. It'd be job claims, right? GDP, CPI, and of course the most important one, inflation, right? So stick to those four. you're fine. But then another thing that should be mentioned is that some people trade news. And if you can kind of see the way it's going, you can make a lot of money when you trade news. Not necessarily advisable, but there are some people who really trade news and they love it. And it's a 5 to 10 minute trade, right? They're in, they make the money and they're out. So yes, but for me personally, I avoid these days, especially if you go long term trading, right? And you have a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. Avoiding news, it's one of the best things you can do.
So, kind of just quick summary on what we covered so far. Using investing.com, they have an economic
Yes,
calendar on there. You can sort that by the top 4 countries that are most impactful: U.S., Great Britain, the EU zone, and China. Within that, you want to sort for the most impactful events. So high impact would be the 3-star events. Typically, the things we're going to
yes,
look for there: inflation data, interest rate information, job claims, and GDP. Which, so on the chart we're looking at right now,
yes,
we've got the CPI on Wednesday, which is a very important inflation
yes.
data, and then on Thursday we have the other
We got
inflation data, the PPI, that's coming in. So Wednesday,
yes,
Thursday, 2 very big days, and it looks like Great Britain's GDP is on Friday. So middle to end of this week, we could have some interesting economic forecasts coming in. Now, when we see these
yeah,
impacting the markets, is it typically, from what I've seen, it's less important if the forecast is up or if the forecast is down. But what will really cause the markets um, to fluctuate wildly, whether up or down, is when we get an unexpected result. For example, they're forecasting
exactly.
inflation to increase, but instead it actually goes down by a couple points. That might send the markets positive. Or the opposite case being true, we're expecting a really good jobs report to come in, that we created a bunch of jobs, and instead we get a negative report, which was not forecasted, and that sends the markets tanking. So that's where the kind of the volatility can come in there.
That's exactly that, right? So it's is what's forecasted. If what is forecasted and the actuality is the same, right, as expected, markets stay the same. If it goes the opposite way, regardless, like you said, right, if it's positive or negative, the market goes the other way, right? I think it was last month or the month before. The forecast was like 0.3 and it came in at 0.2 and the markets went crazy, right? It's still positive, but the market didn't react well to it, right? So it's a single point, and it went wild. And I think if people just if remember we spoke about backtesting before, right? Backtesting is almost more important than trading. If you go back on backtesting and you check all the news event, you kind of could see how much money you could have saved. Honestly, you could have saved a lot of money.
Well, the market tends to front run stuff like this, so it's typically we
Yes,
always we have the saying of buy the rumor, sell the news. So,
yes,
and it works out that way almost every single time. I'm sure there's instances where it hasn't, but the last week we saw people were buying pre kind of front running the crypto summit, right? And then when the actual news came out, we saw another
yeah.
sell off because the people had already kind
The
of front
ordering
run it,
new.
and there wasn't anything too impactful that came out of it. So
Yes,
when we see these forecasts for dropping inflation or higher jobs rates, the markets tend to front run that, and the impact of that number coming out is minuscule. And often we see a drop off, unless it's something shocking that comes out. Instead of 7.7 million, the forecast said we end up with like 9 million jobs or something like that. That could be it has to be something quite unexpected to have a move in the charts there.
yes, and your black swan events as well, right? So any war or what else?
Hmm.
A few years ago, there was natural disasters that kind of does that stuff, right?
Right,
But you can
right.
always see it's always to do with if a war breaks out. And no offense, let's take my country's quite big, but let's take a small country. Well, let's just take a small country, right? Like really small country with low GDP. If a war breaks out there and there's not any major forces involved, nothing will happen in the market, right? We see this in Africa every day with the wars in African countries, and it doesn't affect the markets, right? But for instance, the Israel-Palestine conflict with Ukraine and Russia, when that came out, right, it
Yeah,
just went.
massively dumped the
You
markets.
couldn't catch those candles,
Sure.
right? When there would be a peace accord soon, hopefully. right? Because no one wants war. Then you will kind of see that the market would recover well, right? So yes, TA counts, and yes, economic calendar counts, but there are other factors, right?
Yeah.
And no
Yeah.
one can time the other factors, but it's very important to know that your stop losses are needed for those times.
Well, yeah, I think this
Yeah.
calendar is super super helpful. Some other things you might consider as an investor when setting up, kind of calendar or a date or event based, things to be aware of, whether or not you're going to trade them, but maybe more as a cautionary thing to maybe not trade those days. Things like the unlock token unlock schedule for projects is super important.
Yes.
A token might be doing extremely well. If the day you're looking at there is a 20% unlock where all the VCs are getting their tokens, you can imagine it's probably going to be a big sell off on that day. And almost
Yes.
every project has those publicly available. In fact, there's a couple different accounts on Twitter that have been tweeting out some of the things in the last couple months. There's been billions and billions of dollars worth of tokens from some of these top L1s hitting the market. I think there's been like Solana unlocks and AVAX unlocks and a lot of these other big name projects that have very very long vesting. Have big unlocks, coming. So those put a lot of sell pressure on those top tokens and the markets in general. So those are other things on the calendar you can be aware of. Major milestones for projects if they have Ethereum has their big whatever release date coming up, right? We often see a similar
Yes.
buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event where the new upgrade for Ethereum is all talked up and people are buying Ethereum and think it's going to be bullish, and then it comes out and it's another kind of a dead horse, I guess, out there, and it doesn't really do anything, and we see the markets sell off. So it's super super important. It can't be understated. Not just big macroeconomic economic stuff. But when you're researching to make an investment, you need to take a look at the project. I think it's very helpful to go look at their Twitter. Get a hold of their roadmap. Get a hold of their tokenomics. And look at what is coming up for these projects to help you make the decisions on when it's good to enter trades and when maybe it might be good to exit trades.
Yeah.
There's a lot of event-based stuff that outside of your typical TA stuff that we're not looking at on the charts, that is going to impact the charts. So great to have that holistic picture, and a very good topic for today.
There's one thing I
Yes.
want to
Another
add.
thing that. Sorry. Yes. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
there's one thing I want
Yes.
to add. Like all these macroeconomics forecasts and and data, I think it's a very common practice in forex industry that traders check the news, and that's why forex prop firm, those who are doing like Tordess, but in the forex industry, they forbid users to check the news because, like, let's say for forex trader, they do 100x or 1000x, even a few pips move will affect can have a huge difference as well. So that's why forex prop firm forbid users to trade the news, but it is for a crypto prop firm like us, we still allow users to trade the news because it is still very unpredictable. It's the a wild west over here. There's a lot of things that very unpredictable in the crypto markets, and that's why it's still common for users to trade the news. But in the recent months, since the Bitcoin ETF and Ethereum ETF, I do see that there's a lot of correlations between the stock markets, the traditional market, as the crypto markets. We are seeing that the crypto markets are moving in a similar correlations as the traditional markets. So a question for Roger: how do you think crypto users can adopt the strategies like those in the traditional finance to trade the news? Like, let's say
By
if
not trading the
there's,
news, by not trading the news.
but
Literally,
let's
man,
say
I'm
if
not
they,
joking. In serious.
let's say if they, do you think if we give them a bit of leverage, if they see a trend, like let's say if there's good job openings, there's or the CPI figure is very bad, do you think it changed the trend in the market?
I don't think that these. I don't think that these announcements kind of it's not singular. It's not singular, right? So not a single thing would change the trend, but it can put it. It can put it on hold, right? It can put it definitely on hold. The trend for the trend to follow, right? So we might read this like we just did, right? I still can't find. No one actually still knows why we are at 80 something k. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
All right, nobody knows. We will only know once the news comes out, and it might only be next month or this month. We're in March now. Sorry, my brain's fried. It might be this month, right? So it's the end of Q1. Who's selling off? Who's buying? Right? Who's doing their books? A lot of countries in the world are doing taxes at the end of March. We won't know. All right, we won't know. So we will have to see in Q2 what happened in Q1. That's the problem, right? No one can see ahead. So, and this is my main reason why I never trade news is because I can't see ahead. So I'd rather wait for it to come out and then make my decision. Yes, I'm
I think
slow.
it's
Yes,
a good
I'm
advice. Yeah.
not taking massive profits, but I am still gonna make profits instead of making losses. Yeah. It also removes the emotional thing of trading. That's what no one knows, right? Like, uh, have you guys seen the charts when the news comes out? You know, it's going. One moment you're 10% up, the next moment you're 15% down. No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for the heart, man. you
It's more
know,
like
so
gambling than trading. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. So I can see that crypto is definitely going in the same route as traditional markets. Okay. It's definitely happening. In the past, I don't know if you guys can remember 5 or 6 years ago, but every time the dollar got weaker, Bitcoin got stronger. But now it's the opposite. Now they're in correlation, right? Now when the dollar is strong, BTC is strong. So the strategic reserve is only going to increase that, right? So hopefully, as long as the dollar stays strong, BTC will stay strong.
Well, we've had a lot of bullish news in the crypto markets in the last couple of weeks. We just have had very bearish news in the macroeconomics, which has really, kind of overwhelmed
Yes.
that and pushed the markets down. But I think this is a great lesson for anybody that is watching here today. These type of events are super important to be aware of for your trading journey. You can have the perfect TA set up, and then one of these events hits, and it can throw all that out the window. So, Roche, the great topic for today. Really appreciate you guys hopping on here and covering this. Anything else you wanna cover here
Yes.
today before we kind of wrap things up?
I might say something that no one that maybe have gone unnoticed in the markets, but people tend to forget that FTX start paying back their users. That was dumped, and that was a lot of money. I mean, people kind of forget that, right? Like these were some of these people were corporations, right? We know they were corps invested in FTX, and it was billions. It wasn't millions; it was billions. So that kind of had a massive effect on the market as well.
And
And I
not the
think
effect people were
people
hoping.
tend
I
to forget.
think most people I talked to, they were thinking
Definitely.
people were gonna be buying with that, and I think you're right. We've seen the opposite.
Well, they might, but they're not going to buy the market at the top, right? What is the fear and greed index? Before
Oh,
we
very,
go,
very. It's very. I
let's
think it's
see.
one of the lowest
Uh,
we've had in a long time in the fear zone. It's like 17 or 15 or
see,
something like that.
that's not. You see, that's not a bad thing, because if we're standing at 80, what's it, 83, 84, and the fear and greed is at 11, that's a beautiful thing, right? Like people need to kind of understand that you are standing at a price that was an all-time high of what was it 4 months ago, and we're standing at, oh yeah, it's extreme fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an extreme fear. Okay, so like last month we were at 44, which is normal. So I think, yeah, people need to look at the bigger picture, right, and kind of just calm down. So yeah, just before we wrap up, so yeah, I would only probably trade this week on Friday, and then next week we have retail sales, European CPI, yeah, the Fed interest rate decision.
That'll be a big one on
So yeah,
Thursday next week.
next
Yeah.
yeah, that won't be very big. Yeah, that will be a very, very big week as well. You can probably trade on Tuesday, right? And Tuesday will kind of, I'm not joking, Tuesday would kind of set the market for the week unless the Fed interest rate decision is bullish or bearish. Or would they say dovish or what's the other one?
Hawkish.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. That's the OG claim, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So there we go. See, Nathan, I thought you don't know anything about trading. Look at you, man. Look at you.
I don't think that makes me an expert trader by any means.
Well, yeah. So that's the advice for the people. I hope that they take it well. And I mean, I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm saying long term, it's definitely a well sought after plan.
No, I agree. I think
Definitely.
we always talk about DCAing. If you're not a trader, now's a great time to be DCAing. That with
Yes.
prices this low on stuff. Unless you think
Not
market's
financial
over.
advice, so but if you are into crypto market, probably now is a good time to buy. But of course, we have to add that it's not financial advice.
Of course, yep, yep.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
awesome, guys. Thanks for hopping
Definitely.
on. Again, real quick reminder: get that form filled out for the Tordess airdrop. It is going to be closed on Saturday, so get your information filled in between them. Make sure you've completed all the eligibility requirements, and stay tuned to the Tordess socials. Go and follow them on X. Join their Telegram group as well as the Crypto Paradise for all the upcoming news around that airdrop and the Tordess launch. So, thanks again, guys, for coming on for another TA with Tordess. We're no longer two TA Tuesdays. We got the TA with Tordess now. So thanks for watching. And it'll be interesting because this will come out on Friday probably this week. So we'll have already gotten past those CPI dates. You can actually take this information. We talk about back testing. Look what happened. Take a look at the charts. We've talked about it here. Look what happens with, depending on where the forecasts come versus what the actual numbers are, and see how the charts react and how Bitcoin and the traditional markets react. That'll be kind of a great example of how important these milestones are, or each get on the calendar. So very good resource, investing.com. We gave instructions midway through the video here on how to get yourself all set up there. Definitely maybe something to add to your bookmarks in your browser there. Yeah, that's it for me today, guys. Thanks for joining as
Awesome to
always.
be here. Hope
Appreciate your
that you
time.
learned something.
Yes.
All right. And thanks for everybody
Yes.
watching.
Goodbye.
Help us out. Give us a like. Give it a reshare. Leave a comment if you have questions on what we talked about today. If you want to see us talk about something in the future, that's the best way to help support both channels and keep these videos coming each and every week. So thanks again for watching. And we'll be back next week with another TA with Tordess segment. And until then, we'll see you on the beach.
Here to stay, living in the digital age.